hello, or two to find my voice. Come back from the shops and it's getting ever more challenging with my physical health. It's like physical health is distracting me now, and sorry for the poor light. A depressing video in any way, this. As much as the dark light and me trying to just get some words out in this moment. Reputation. I'll be back in 1 second. Apologies for that. And honestly, I've had to take morphine today, and yesterday's been so bad, and I'm just waiting for it to start working now. And I think if I distract myself, I won't get lightheaded or anything when it begins to work. But no, between the collective psychosis challenging me more and more, the only reason the collective psychosis is challenging me more and more is because I'm in physical pain. It's like you could actually challenge me less. The challenge is still more because I'm in pain, and for me to do basic things is a real feat. I made it round the shops. I'm sorry if this is sounding depressing. It's not. I don't mean any depression in it. It's just where my physical body is still held under that density, and I'm hoping to shed it on this video as I express a bit more. But I made it into the post office earlier, and when I go to the shops, is to just bulldoze my way through everything. So in other words, instead of being as I'm physically impaired at the moment, the only way I can really do it, in other words, constantly working on the physical pain and dealing with my mental health as and when it arises. And it's not a nice experience. It's not like a pleasant trip down the shops, which it could have been, but it is what it is. And either way, I made it into the post office, and where I had to queue up for a while because, well, the post office. And I was queuing up. And when things get really bad and I'm having to be present or I'm at home, I enter more into energy work and I deal with the pain in terms of energy. And that's what happened. As so much in a physical manner in terms of posture, because you're moving. When you're still, you can take it to mind and energy. And because I think I became still, everything got to me, the pain of life. And there, because I'm in the moment, not to let my mental health be too much of an outward burden upon anybody else. It's his eyes. I noticed myself entering into hysteria, which the NHS taught me how to do. But I'm there anyway, and I'm entering into hysteria. And because I'm been in so much pain now for about 2 years, it's all depressing, but when I get to the subject matter of, I'm hoping the mood will lighten, or at least your ability to find interest beyond the tone of my voice and my life story. So then, and I'm there and I'm feeling myself entering into that state, and I'm doing quite well, focusing on energy and just dealing with my physical body. And when I'm focused like that on my physical body, to a certain extent, my mental health can take a backseat if I'm winning. And I was on that cusp of winning and losing, but kept it of the way through. And I was brushing away any attempts for psychosis, any attempts for the hysteria to take control, because it's not the worst thing when you're alone in this world, but you able to keep it in control and in check. Otherwise, I don't want to think where I could end up, so I'm just being cautious with it. And because I've been in pain now for so long, and it's been getting, it seems when I'm like near death, I'm able to get downloads about the entire universe. So I was on that vibrational level. That's my body was, my soul. I don't know what connects to it, but that's where I was. I was focused, and as I said, I was just keeping it in check. I wasn't entering into the hysteria or psychosis, however. And then just being there in the queue, a young girl in front of me. She was probably about 14, 15. And as my mental health has changed, it's ripped out my soul and and replaced it because my eyes have changed. My perception of the world has changed. In other words, the way I'm seeing life isn't my eyes, and I want to cut them out of my head. Sorry for being depressing in that moment. Because I can't tell you on a spiritual level how much I appreciate the soul. And to see my eyes being changed is very, very soul destroying, ironically. But anyway, with this recent change, I've become more aware of the outside world, where I wasn't able to before because of the pain of my fucking life. It's having its way. So I'm there and I'm just observing in and around managing the pain. And I realised, oh, there's a common theme. Psychosis and my mind, because I'm in charge of my mind and I don't like to think about stuff that I don't need to think about. And I noticed really I don't understand. It's a sign to me that it's either my psychosis playing a trick on my life, or it's spirit trying to communicate. And I've never cared about children. I've never been able to get on with children. How to be in front of them, what to do or anything. So I'm just impartial to children. They're just like something one day in their lives. But of late I've realised I've been warming to children. And I know when you talk about children in this world, because we're such a sick world, we can't be trusted to speak of any subject matter without first getting put in a box before our reputation, because the world is so serious. So I guess I have to put this out there first before I continue with the story, and that's to say I have no interest in children in that way, and I'll leave it at that. Either way, of late, my mind, my eyes, when I not it's not like all the time, but it's just like I'm observing children at any time, and that's just like the difference is when I might have witnessed children before and I realised I just don't know how to communicate with you. There's a warmth to that perception now. In other words, I was there and I looked at this girl and her energy was relaxed. It was her energy, I guess, that I saw first. And I interact with on a daily basis everybody that's part of the collective psychosis, and or just this world, but maybe just past that age of 15 or 16 when our minds become to get corrupted. We desire to be adult, luxuries of being an adult, to cast away our childhood, or whatever childhood is, the innocence, cast away the innocence. They are a lack of control and responsibility in this world. I think that's what it is most for people. They want control. That's what it was. Well, I guess the key thing, the child looking back. And I've had a few of those connections with when I've seen, observed and perceived the outside world, and I've seen children, and it's like I'm starting to realise children are uncorrupted. Quite simply, children are uncorrupted. You can forgive a child for whatever they've experienced in their life. Stand there in front of you as a child with a child's energy, with hurt, with pain, with happiness, with whatever they've experienced. They're a child, and you can see that in a child. What they carry in that energy is truth. That's what you see. You see, this is a perfect example of the world. And in that moment, I realised I connect more with children now than I can ever with adults or anybody else. Fuck knows how to talk to them, but I connect. And that's when I saw Michael Jackson. That's when I saw him. Fuck me, if anybody has a the man needed to change the colour of his skin when he's a public figure, probably the world's most famous person at the time, I don't know. What was in his mind for him to be the way he was. But we all know Michael Jackson, for all intents and purposes, was a big kid. A theme park. He owned a theme park. He spent time with children. What happened is unknown, as much as children have come out and abuse was took place. But in the first instance, the man was alone in this world, and I see that I'm an outcast from society. And unfortunately, as an outcast of society, because I have a mental health disorder, and unfortunately, because I have a mental health disorder, half the mental health disorder, well, the mental health disorder demands you to be a person, to be alive, and in me rising to that challenge, I'm unable to maintain relationships. And to be fair, the collective psychosis of more than happy. In other words, friends and family haven't really done their bit for somebody who's got ill health to maintain a relationship. But either way, I find myself alone in this world, very competent, very aware, and I realise this might as well be Michael Jackson. The purpose is the man, if he wants to be surrounded by people, but because of who he was, and this probably goes for all the celebrities, you're alone. Yourself. The only people who will ever know you are the people from your childhood before you found fame. So either way, I'm alone, Michael was alone. Slightly different circumstances. And in that, you know, Michael can't really ever connect to people without the ego being there as the barrier. Once you become a celebrity, you die on some level, I guess. And for whatever reason, Michael must have had that same awareness that children are, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're famous or not. It doesn't matter if you're ill or not. The child is still the child, and if they're happy to connect with you, fuck knows what Michael did. But if the child interacts with you, it's a truthful interaction to life, whereas fuck me. And I've got the labels, but it's only because I can look back and see how fucking ill the world is and how fucking in denial most people are on all levels. And I'd be too if I didn't have this mental health disorder. I wouldn't be able to see the level. No chance. But it got me thinking as well. I mean, on two levels. One is because I claim to be a virgin. I've not. There's been sexual interactions, so to speak, in my life, but I can never say I've made love or sex, and I've never experienced that. I don't know what my mentality does if you have had sex with this perception of the world. I can't fathom how that quite could change with Michael Jackson. Obviously, presumably, having had a sexual relationship by the time he found whatever he found in about Michael Jackson. When it's such a sensitive subject matter, otherwise I wouldn't give a shit. It'd be a piece of piss. Just because it's a sensitive subject matter, it's really hard to talk about, and I just don't do sensitive speech. But you know, we were saying from my perspective, an element of truth, and that's all it is. A child is truth, and I realised the other day that the likelihood is humanity's first trauma was aloneness. And really all trauma stems from aloneness. But I don't know it for certain. It makes sense though. And it was in my aloneness that I saw that. But I've come from a place without sex in me. I feel sexless. And I can't imagine how that might be skewed with way, how that would have changed Michael's mind. But in the end I realised he had children, and it got me thinking on another question for all the scientists out there, and that is how much does perception change genes? What I mean by that question is Michael must have seen himself in the mirror, man in the mirror, every day for God knows how many years it was that. Was it? I don't know how it happened. When he changed skin colour, and he saw himself every day in the mirror, and he programmed his mind, he programmed his body. I mean, you've got genetics. What's the common thing? It's when you're taught by society, and you also have your upbringing that plays a part, and there's always that question between genes and I don't know how to reference it. I think you realise what I'm saying, but there's also another one, and that is perception. If Michael saw himself in the mirror every day, was it 20 years, was it 30 years, and saw a white man, and he was like, that's who I am. Did his genes change? And was that the reason he had white children? Given the kindness everyone gives him by keeping quiet about that question. Were they his, weren't they his? He was black, but he's turned white. Is it really Michael? Either way, he saw himself in the fucking mirror every day for 20 years. He was alone in this world, and he was like, this is who I am. They say you lose every cell in your body every 180 days or something. If his mind was telling his cells, I am a white man, and we do that twice a year, I am sure the cells in his body could adapt to being white. And obviously if his partner was white, and they had a child, it needs to be studied. I'm interested to know. I don't give a shit really, but what does it matter to me? The amount of time it will take for people to be like, oh right, okay, mind changes reality. And then for spirituality to start getting credit, I'll be in an old person's home with so many health problems. I wouldn't know. And then we could study me, somebody that doesn't know, and is essentially nature. What does that create in their body? Thing.